any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it. I just do it like Nike swoosh. None of that Reggie Bush cause I'm top shelf. I ain't got...
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Just going to give it a couple more minutes. Just let a couple people come in. In the meantime, make sure that you're commenting where you calling or where you're coming from, where you're watching from, where you're listening from. Make sure that you comment in the chat. Let us know. And yeah, we're going to get started soon. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm fantastic. My night ended well last night, so I'm good.
Have a feeling I know why, but we're not going to divulge. Not going to get into it.
Not that. It wasn't that. It was that.
Okay.
No, it was never that. I put a smile on my little face.
You know what? All I need to know. That's fine. But yeah, make sure that we're commenting. Make sure that we're letting you know where you're from. And like I said, we'll be getting started soon. All right. All right. And Josh, you all right? Technical difficulties?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. All right, just making sure. All right, and let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to the YDKJAC podcast, where we'll be discussing everything Colts related. We're not going to slander teams right now. It's just like everybody's kind of retooling. But you know what? Pretty soon, we'll be back to it. But in the meantime, before we go any further, just got to go ahead and make sure that you get reintroduced to the guys. We have with us the silent assassin, Mr. Cookie. Austin Cook, everybody.
What's up? I'm Austin.
All right. And then we have the man who apparently is a huge Bryce Young fan all of a sudden. Josh Senior, everybody.
All of a sudden. I shouldn't see when did I no. I know what Ursay doing, man. He's trying to get my hopes up, and I'm not buying it. So, no, I'm not buying it.
As he does so well.
What's good, everybody?
All right, and I'm Chris Jackson. So, without further ado, man, been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, approximately 5 weeks, for us to finally get to where we are today. And proud to say that we have a winner in the next Colts head coach sweepstakes. Shane Steichen, everybody. Shane Steichen. So
where's the claps? Where's the claps? Where's the claps?
Well, first off, we're gonna just go ahead and just make sure that we give him that much, because I want to know exactly like how excited y'all are, how y'all feel about this. Any one of y'all, that's fine.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited. Obviously, he did well in Philadelphia as their offensive coordinator. He's worked with Philip Rivers, Justin Herbert, and now Jalen Hurts. and done well with all three. So I'm excited.
Mhm.
He's very knowledgeable, especially at the quarterback position, which we'll need with a rookie quarterback. So
Yes, absolutely. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, just like Austin said, man, I'm excited. We just saw what he did a couple days ago in the Super Bowl. They fell short, but his play calling was on point, which we
Hmm.
knew it was all year long. They've been with one of the top offenses in the league, right along with KC and the Bengals. It just the Chiefs came out with the with more points than they did. He groomed. I mean, like I said, like Austin said, he groomed. He didn't groom Rivers. Rivers was already in his prime, but he helped with Justin Herbert. He helped with Jalen Hurts, who no one thought they would have will be in the MVP conversation this year. And it was big. It was major. So it'd be very instrumental, vital for our new quarterback, which we can get in a couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because one of the reasons why I was high on Shane Steichen was because of his his experience being able to develop and mentor quarterbacks. I think we got somebody who and I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but I think contrary to Frank Reich, it's just like he has a resume that shows that he's been able to have success not just with one quarterback, but just with many quarterbacks. It's just like I think Reich, he worked with Phillip Rivers, he worked with Carson Wentz, and they say like Carson Wentz had that great year, but I think we just saw that with Doug Peterson having the year that he had with Trevor Lawrence, it's just like maybe it could have been more Peterson than Reich, or maybe equal, but I think what we're going to see is just him being, I'm going to say, truer to our offense. I know there was one quote that came out that he's just like, we're going to pass the ball to score in games, and then we're going to run the ball to win it. And that was a huge thing because it's just like, okay, he already has a plan. So I honestly, it's just like I'm excited. I think as we talked about before, Steichen was, I'm going to say, one of the main guys that I had kind of on my list outside of Ben Johnson, and then Ben Johnson went back to the Lions. So yeah, this
yeah,
is I like it. I like it a lot. And then hold on, we have a comment coming in. He says I'm excited. Him being emotional in the pressers showed this is important to him. Stuff is about to get serious, and that's very true because I mean that being able to come in with that much passion, knowing that this is an opportunity for you to go ahead and just turn something around that was just really really bad, even given a good defense, was, I mean, it's a big deal.
It's definitely a big
Now,
deal. Huh?
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know we saw on Twitter with yesterday from the with analysts or beat writers, Greg Doyle and Bob Kravitz,
Hmm.
made fun of him crying, calling him soft, which is very unprofessional. It's and annoying because the guy, I mean,
Yeah.
the guy expressed that was a dream come true for him, being a head coach. In short period of time, yeah, he was an OC. He worked on defense. Um, And you think about it, he played the position, and he knew that he wasn't going to be drafted to the NFL from UNLV, so he went to coaching, and he went from defense side, learned that side, went to the offensive side, and he was able to have
Hmm.
multiple positions within the offense, and now led to being a head coach. And for him to show those emotions in front of everybody, those two idiots decided to make fun of it and call him soft, which is terrible. It's not about winning the press conference. It's about winning games on the field. And eventually, he had that chance once the new league starts.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I think it's just time for a different philosophy as a whole. I mean, I think when you see what was done with the Eagles this year on offense, how, I mean, there were a lot of times, I think, outside of the game against us and when they played the Commanders, that Eagles team on offense was just looking like a well-oiled machine. And the one thing that our offense didn't look like was a well-oiled machine. So, now it's just like you get to see that on the flip side. But we're also going to get to see a different approach. Like it's not just going to be so heavily reliant on Jonathan Taylor, even though having Jonathan Taylor in offense like what you've seen with Shane Steichen is going to be, it's going to do dividends in terms of how we're able to do, or in terms of how the offense is able to move the ball and be more fluid. So honestly, it's just like I love the hire. I never liked toot my own horn, but I did say Shane Steichen would be the guy.
You did. I get. I want to commend you on that. Picking him for being the guy. And it did. We didn't know until they kept prolonging the decision making on who would be the next coach, and it kept coming and kept going towards the Super Bowl. Even though they said it could last until the middle or mid February, which kind of indicate like, okay, maybe they wait after the Super Bowl and name their guy.
Yeah.
It could have been EB, could have been Shane, could have been whoever was available. Could have been Brian Callahan. We didn't know until it got closer. But the guy coaches. He coaches players. He hold players accountable, and that's what you need. I'm not saying Frank didn't do that. I give credit for what Frank did. But it was just time to move on. Now he leads another team, or has a chance to lead another team. And like you said, it's time for a new voice. And it's a younger voice. I don't know when last time I don't even know we ever had a young head coach at 37 ever in our franchise history. Which is, it's good. It's okay to have that. The guy knows the position. So I'm excited as well, like you guys are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a big thing that you have somebody who's a little bit younger, because I think when you have younger coaches, they understand the processes of the league a little bit better. If you look at the final four for for the playoffs, it came down to who? It came down to Kyle Shanahan and Nick Sirianni on the NFC side, and then it came down to Andy Reid and Brian Callahan. And the thing is, it's just like Andy Reid is one of those guys who's just like he'll go down as one of the best, if not the best coach probably in history. I think to me, with what he's done with this team, where it's just like frequent moving parts. But I mean, finding Mahomes was like a diamond in the rough. But now it's just like you have this dominant run where you're in 5 straight AFC championship games and you've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. It's like, that's not by mistake, especially with a defense that really isn't all that great.
Especially losing Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you lose Tyreek Hill, and then you end up going back to the Super Bowl. Like, yeah. It's like you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's basically a certified number 2 receiver.
No, he's a TikTok boy.
He is a TikTok boy, yes. He got Isaiah Pacheco on that train now too, because that guy won't not dance. He runs angry and does TikTok dances. Like, talk about balance. But yeah, so then now it's just like we talked about Steichen, but now moving on to the press conference, because the press conference was a little under 40 minutes, but it was extremely telling. So, first off, I'm going to say, since Austin started first, Josh, what was your first impressions regarding the whole entire press conference?
I was overwhelmed with it. It was excited to hear the excitement, the emotions, the pre-emotions that he put into it. He named every guy that paved the way or helped him or led to him get to where he at now. Which you don't really see. I mean, he named everybody, coaches, players. He went into details, and that's what we need. And it just helped us. It helps as a relief for all our fans to watch their press conference, to see a guy saying, hey, the 4 pillars of what he's going to preach to the team. And like you said, we're going to throw, score points. We're going to run to win games. Those things we want to hear. And he said that hey, some games he might run the ball 40 times. Some games he might throw the ball 40 times. It's just based off what the defense give us, with the plan of what the defense gives us. What you saw on Sunday, you saw a lot of RPOs. You saw a quarterback running a lot, scrambling a lot. You didn't see a whole lot of passing, even though their top receivers If Devontae Smith and AJ had nice games, and including the tight end, that's for us. We love to see that. We love to see balance. We love to see taking what the defense gives them, and he took whatever the Chiefs give him. And it showed that the GM, the owner, said, hey, we need this coach because we're gonna need a young quarterback. So that tell us we're not gonna go out to Tannehill, we're not going out to Carr, we're not going out Jimmy G, we're not going out, we're not getting these guys anymore. We're getting an eye guy in the draft with a small little leak who we could get, but I think he's just trolling us. And he mentioned
Yeah. What about you, Austin?
I mean, yeah, what Josh said is right. He said everything that he needed to say. Now it's just putting the right staff together and going to work. We've said it a lot, but everything he said gets us excited because it's been a while since we've been a good team, and we've had the coach that we need. Like, nothing against Frank, he's put a nice staff together in Carolina. But now we're on to Shane, and there's just something about it feels right. It feels like we're about to finally be back like a top team in the league. Whether it's next year or a few years, it just something feels good about it. I enjoyed watching the press conference as well as Josh did.
Yeah, it's. I think the biggest thing about this hire is that we haven't had the hiring of a guy who's kind of like truly came in and has been able to show that he can actually do something at a very high level. The biggest issue that we ran into is that I like Frank Reich's character, I like who he was, but the thing is he was never our first choice. It made it seem like it was a panic hire. So it's just like he was working with a team or he was working with a staff that he didn't necessarily get to choose himself. He kind of started to get the chance to do it, and then it's just like some guys moved on to other teams like Sirianni, and then now it's he wasn't able to do that. This is a legitimate, like, it was a long process, but it was a long process that needed to be had because you can't afford to go into things with somebody half cocked like what we dealt with Josh McDaniels. Especially after you went through with Chuck Pagano, because then it's like it's frustration. So now it's I like fans were very anxious, very like, no, we need to get somebody now, we need to do something. And I think now it's just like we see that, okay, this is exactly what needed to happen because they did not need to try to get these interviews knocked out in a week. Like they needed to really just go ahead and just vet these guys and just keep on doing it over and over, just to make sure that not only was their heart in it, but their head was in it, and that they knew what they were doing going into this next phase. Because there's a lot on the line here. I mean, Irsay, it's just like it seems like he's becoming more impatient, but more so Ballard. Ballard knows that he's on his last leg. Like he has to have some type of success, otherwise this just isn't going to work. And that's why when Irsay said Chris Ballard will be the person who will be responsible for the final decision for the hiring, it's like, okay, all right, so we know that it's just like this isn't going to be something where he's just like, oh yeah, well, I like to draft defensive ends, because we know exactly how Ballard feels about drafting defensive ends.
I agree.
So being the way that it is now, it's just like I do feel like there's really a sense of urgency. Like they're not talking about, oh yeah, we're going to be rebuilding for 2 years. Absolutely not. They don't have that time. But let's go ahead.
I know you guys have seen the comments too. Seen a lot of people from my own fan base, from the opponents. They have been mentioning how it's another guy from Philly, another OC from Philly. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing. You guys ain't getting anything different. Yeah, can you expand on that? Why fans are thinking that, hey, we just did the same thing 5 years ago when we got it right. Now we're doing it 5 years later with Steichen, making it the same thing. Like it's the same. Like we're gonna get the same results.
Yeah, I
So,
think that's
yeah.
just a lazy take. It's just
Hmm.
it's been 5 years. We've changed since 5 years ago. Uh,
Hmm.
it's just lazy. People love to hate.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? It's just kind of expanding on that. It's easy to say that, oh, you're getting another Eagles OC. Well, you also have to remember we got Frank Reich after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So for us, we got him fresh off of a win in which we saw him go toe to toe offensively with the New England Patriots after having Carson Wentz basically be in the running to be MVP until he got injured.
But
Now,
see, uh,
I'm gonna say there's a big difference now because we've had a chance to see Steichen really prove that he's this quarterback guru that we wanted Frank Reich to be. Like, think about all the years that Shane Steichen has been there, and then look at Jalen Hurts' progression. Jalen Hurts was an MVP runner-up. He was an MVP runner-up last year, but they were able to actually go ahead and make sure that he's progressing properly. That Eagles offense was probably the best looking offense that we've seen for a long time, ever since possibly. And I'm not going to say that they're on the same level, but since we saw that Kansas City offense a few years back, the one that had like one of the best Monday night games ever versus the Los Angeles Rams, however you want to call it.
oh, score 50 points
But
apiece.
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's just like it was literally just all out scoring. So if we're talking about like the difference in between teams, it's just like you really have to discuss the big differences between the both of them. Not only that, but like I said, it's just like Steichen is. I'm gonna say he's in a different phase because of the fact that he's a younger coach, yes, but also at the same time, and this is just my philosophy or my thinking. Younger coaches have a better grasp of how the game is now because of how it evolves. And so the thing is, let's just say like an older coach may not necessarily want to go the route of going with a quarterback that may have some mobility to them because they may see mobility as a crutch to a certain extent. So now it's just like, you have younger coaches coming in, like you saw what he was able to do with Jalen Hurts. And I don't want to hear anything about the Super Bowl because Jalen Hurts scored 3 touchdowns on the ground and he threw for one. And I mean, literally, once again, you're going toe to toe with the best offense in the league, or had the team that had the best offense in the league for years, and it comes down to a field goal. Like, I don't think that it's anything short of a great thing when you know for a fact that you can utilize a quarterback that people try to say, oh, well, he's just a running quarterback or he just scrambles, and then you see him out there just throwing the ball. He outperformed Mahomes, if we're being completely honest.
You did.
But that kind of stuff gets overlooked. So I mean, as far as we go right now, that's just what we're looking at. But we got a couple comments. Oh, Josh, can you read that the first comment up there?
Huh?
Can you read the first comment up there or the comment right there?
I can barely see it. Use from my phone. It said, I think it was the first or second question Steichen was asked. It's like he loved how he talked about how he will have the team prepared and scheduled for games, something that the team was starting to lack.
Yeah, absolutely. Then he says, I think if we're drafting top 10 or 5 again, Chris Ballard is definitely fired. I think that's a fair assumption because, I mean, the defense wasn't bad. They just were gassed because they had to pick up the slack for an offense that was non-existent.
I agree.
It said, lazy take from fans saying we're getting another Reich, different regimes. Very true. And then we have a comment from Gabriel Ruiz. Shane Steichen going to put y'all in the upper quartile. The shoe is back. First off, the Jets are trying to get Ryan Tannehill off of y'all for half a ham sandwich. So I don't even want to hear anything about that. Like, how do How are you about to trade Ryan Tannehill away for the same thing you got him for? And then, you know what? I said that we weren't going to slander anybody, but you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
I
I
lied.
went in.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so the thing is, RJ's been saying that they're going to trade up to get Bryce Young.
Hmm.
You have nothing to trade to get Bryce Young. I mean, it's way more realistic for a team that's in the top 5 to maybe trade up a couple spots, but to be able to trade up from 11 to 1 means that you're basically going to be giving up probably 1 to 2 of your top players, and then you're still trading away picks. And I mean, I know that our team has some holes that we need to fill, but that Tennessee Titans teams have issues, a lot of issues.
Cap issues, personnel issues. I mean, you just seen what the coach did to hire Tim Kelly as OC, which is a dumb move. But yeah, I yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. But you know what? That's the reason why, like, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna continue to just go ahead and say, hey, this is what it is, because the Tennessee Titans, I mean, they got swept by the Jags. They got swept by the Jags. It's just like you went you went from 73 to 0-7, and then it's just like you have the nerve to pop your head out from under the bridge. You you potatoes, how dare you? How dare any of you say anything? Go back under your rock, you
They can't
bridge
help it,
troll.
man. What's the thing is too
But
is they mentioned the right thing, but they failed to mention that Wright wasn't the first guy. Yeah, we hired a guy from that lost in the Super Bowl, which was Josh McDaniel, and he turned around and said, "Hey, never mind." And so we had no choice but to try to get somebody on the fly.
yep, yep. And that's exactly what it was. I never wanted Josh McDaniels because to me he was overrated when he was in Denver. He was overrated when we went after him, and I was relieved that he decided that he wasn't going to do it because he's a coward. I mean, even now it's just like Derek Carr was a problem. Everything was a problem except for him in Las Vegas. So I mean, that was no, absolutely not. That was dumb. But an interesting thing from the press conference yesterday was there was a couple things. So Ballard and Irsay kind of joked about the draft picks, talking about we'll trade up, stay put, and then Ballard said trade down, and he's just like they talk about the fact that he like loves the draft picks. That was one of the hot quotes. But then also Irsay, when talking about the quarterback situation, he said, "Oh, he's like that Alabama QB. He doesn't look bad." And it's just like he could be good. So we're like, he's talking about Bryce Young. And then there was a tweet from him today where he essentially said something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, 60 years ago, me just playing in Chicago, like we have a relationship over the last 60 years." It's like, what are you talking about? So I mean, the one thing that I want to ask before we go back to the comments is, are these comments are these smoke and mirrors, or do you think like there's like really some validity to what's being said?
I they mentioned that they see the noise and everything, so I really think that they're just trolling. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Whether I don't think we're trading back. We might trade up. We might stay put. I don't know. I think there's a better chance we stay put than trade back. Um, and then the Jim Irsay tweeting that picture, and also saying that thing about Bryce Young. He's just causing chaos.
Yep.
I guess he loves chaos.
He embraced it.
Yeah.
He embraced it. I see a lot of that. He did the same thing with the Jeff Saturday thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of media people like Mel Kiper has definitely fell for his comment.
Yeah, that's I don't like the thing is it's normally I would just say possibly smoke and mirrors, but the way that Ursay's been ever since like maybe around like October, or matter of fact, not even October, ever since like last season, with that last game against the Jaguars, it's a little bit tough to say that, this might just be a thing because, it's just like Irsay, he's generally not involved, but he's become more involved. And I think the fact that he's become more involved makes it more serious for him. Like he wants it, and he wants to get it done. And now he's interfering, i.e., the Jeff Saturday hire. And now that didn't work out, it's like, okay, well, what do we do next? What do we need to do? What needs to happen now? And it's like, it's really going to make it so that we have to kind of look at everything that he says from here on out and just be like, what is he talking about? I mean, even Ballard to joke about the fact that he likes to trade down after Irsay talked about trading up. It's like, it seems like it seems like that was like a smoke and mirror kind of move, but I don't know. It's just like, I think when you let Irsay just kind of talk a little bit, he kind of starts to give stuff away.
I mean, if we trade up and get Bryce Young, I don't think that'd be a bad thing.
The thing is,
that wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
We know that he does this every time. We know. First of all, we know that our team does not leak anything. Our team does not. We didn't know Shane was going to be the guy. Everybody, all the reports, multiple reports saying that Wink, whatever his name is, Wink was the front runner. It said Brian Callahan was the front runner. It said Morris was the front runner. It said Jeff Saturday was the front runner. So it kept saying a lot of things, based off, source close to citizens. It kept saying that, and so we believed everything that came out at one point. So him saying that it could put other teams in bidding wars. Okay, well, coach trying to get Bryce Young, and all of this whole time they could be thinking about another guy, and so he's probably trolling other guys to go ahead and trade up with the Bears, or go trade up with the Texans, or trade up with us. It's good marketing, even though it gives us a headache, because it's like, okay, why would he say that? Why would he say we're going to draft him, knowing that teams could do that? But in order to do that, they got to trade up with the number 1 and 2 or 3 to get that guy.
Yeah, and I think trading up also just isn't necessarily a bad idea. It just really depends on how we're going to make sure that we're leveraging that, because if we start giving away, first round this year, first round next year, and everything to move up those 3 spots, and then the target for who we want at quarterback is somebody who would have been there to begin with, then I think that's when it's like, okay, this is not moving the way that it should. But I think it's different if you have a plan in mind and you say, you know what, we're going to trade up. We'll trade away, like, there's certain guys that I do believe will be traded away. But I think right now now's not the time to necessarily get up in arms. I think getting Steichen on board now so that he can be there for the combine, be part of the draft process, is very, very key, so that this way it's just like, what it is. Not only that, but I mean, I really, and this is going to be a hot take, but I think that I'm good with just about any quarterback not named Will Levis in this draft, since Steichen is going to be the one that's going to be. Thank you for that, Austin. Since Steichen is going to be the one who's going to be taking the reins as head coach. Because I mean, like I said, I think that he can cater a game plan to the strengths and weaknesses of whatever quarterback it is. But I'll digress for right now because we got a bunch of comments coming in. They say, don't see the Bears leaving the draft without Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. If they trade back, it won't be further than number 5 pick. And I mean, yeah, because the thing is, I think if you're talking about the Bears, if they trade down, I could see them. Well, no, they wouldn't trade with the Lions because they're in the same division. But I don't see them trading with anybody who wouldn't necessarily have, like, I'm going to say, extra draft capital in the first or second round. Because this draft is going to have a lot of depth. So then we have Cody says, knowing the Titans about how they handled the A.J. Brown situation, they'll probably trade Henry and draft the running back that's not even close to Henry's talent.
Well, they have Hackins.
You said what?
I said they have a Hackins guy from Wisconsin, not Wisconsin, Michigan.
Who's that?
The Titans do. Haskins, yeah, they have him.
Oh,
Their backup
Haskins.
running
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
saying he's gonna be Henry, but yeah.
Mhm.
If they was to do that, yeah, I see that, him being the lead guy.
Yeah, I had spaghetti for dinner. You know what I just did?
Yeah.
We both just named things that won't matter if that team trades away Derrick Henry.
Right.
Like it says, that's just what it is. Period. But yeah, he said he said Ursay is a Jake Paul of NFL owners. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
he's a troll.
he's a
Pe-
little
People
he's a little crazy. He's a little crazy.
people look at him. Oh, he's a dope head or pothead, whatever you want to call him, and think that guy don't have no common sense. The guy knows exactly what he's doing. The reason that Jeff Saturday being a finalist, a top 8 or 4 finalist, tells you that he was trolling us the whole time, knowing that he probably
Yeah,
wasn't the guy.
trying to keep us in suspense. Then he says,
Correct.
"I'll give you." He said, "I'll give you half a 6-pack for Matt Ryan, deal." And he said, "The whole 6-pack for Matty Ice, double deal. Send them both, because we don't need to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore." So the thing is, that's going to be another interesting thing, because now what happens with Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan is not that style of quarterback. So the thing is, now, do you cut him beforehand to free up money, or do you cut him
Yes.
or do you keep him on the roster because he may need to mentor the new guy coming in?
I don't think
Get
we
him out of
need.
there.
I don't think we need to pay him that much money just to be a mentor.
Yeah, because that's 38 million that he'll need to be paid, which means that he'll be getting paid like a top 10 quarterback who hasn't been a top 10 quarterback in a very, very long time.
I mean, I know we mentioned that a lot. Why do we need a mentor? Not every quarterback needs a mentor. Throw him in the fire and allows him to make bad decisions. That's why we got the coach we got now, 37. He was a quarterback coach. He's an OC. He developed quarterbacks, so he has the tools to develop a quarterback. We don't have to pay
Yep.
somebody $35 million to do that. Unless you keep Foles at $6 million a year.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to keep him on and just keep on paying him that much when you have guys like Paris or Bobby that needs to be, that need to be paid.
Hmm.
Like, free up that money, get other people out of here that don't necessarily you can't strike deals with, and then that'll just be that.
I agree.
But with that being said, guys, it was, it's just like we don't have much else in terms of news, in terms of what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and just call it, because I'm pretty sure that we may hear some news within the next week or so about some of the staff. We know that Gus Bradley is still on. I think Bubba Ventrone is still on. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But by all estimations, is Matt Ryan going to be cut prior to the start of the new year, which I do believe is in March?
I'm
Yes.
gonna say yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're all in agreement. All right. So then with
No
that
questions
being
there.
said, exactly. We'll be back next Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Basically, make sure that you're tuning in. You can see us on here. And wait, hold on. Good lady Jackie says Colts are cursed for doing Peyton wrong.
Stop.
They'll get over that eventually. Peyton is still kind of involved, just not really. Then he says
Yeah.
Matt Ryan is coming back. You shut your face before he becomes a mentor for Trevor Lawrence. All right. And so with that being said,
Trevor
guys,
needs a mentor throwing 6 picks in the 2 playoff games.
where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
All right, Cookie Austin 2. And then how about you, Josh?
I am Josh Senior on Twitter.
All right. And you can find me at CJ Colts Fan. Please make sure that you're following all the pages at YDKJAC Podcast, at YDK Basketball, and at YDKJAC Baseball. Make sure that you go to YDK Basketball so you can troll Josh about his new look Lakers that look a little bit weirder than they did at the beginning of the season.
And they're winning. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Define winning.
Doing better than what they did at first.
That's not too hard. The three of us could come off the bench and we can do better than what they were doing at first.
Hey, I'll love that. We should join them.
Yeah, no, they're not. No, I'm not going to join the Lakers so that they can blame me for all the bad stuff that LeBron is doing.
Hey, it comes with the territory, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. But other than that, people, have a great evening. We will see you next week. And whatever weather you're having right now, enjoy it or just stay away from it. Either way, great having you, and we will see you next week. And never forget that Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.